Now, the Minister of Electricity and Energy, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, held a media briefing on new measures to end load shedding. He announced a nationwide rollout of smart meters, with Eskom aimed at eliminating load reduction within 12 to 18 months. The rollout will also target electricity lost to illegal connections. Let's speak to the Minister. Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa is joining us now. Minister, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So March 2027 is when you say there will no longer be any load reduction. I would like to, however, talk about infrastructure to begin things with. What exactly failed in our infrastructure strategy and why, if you're able to share?
Oh, thank you very much, Aravile. Good morning to you and the viewers. You are absolutely right. I think we've got a challenge in relation to the maintenance of infrastructure. So if you talk load reduction, is a collapse of localized infrastructure or the inability of your reticulation and distribution infrastructure to sustain the demand that is placed on that infrastructure. And that's a function of a multiplicity of reasons. Chief amongst those is the inability of municipalities to do a forward projection in relation to the increases of the population, and as a result, the additional demand that is placed by that population increase on the electricity infrastructure. And then you have proliferation of informality or informal settlements and people getting to connect illegally on the existing infrastructure, which is not designed to accommodate them, because there was never an expectation that there's going to be such a growth and also illegal connection. But we have also seen that the problems are systemic in that the municipalities are unable to redirect a significant amount of money to maintain their already existing infrastructure. The general rule of thumb is that 5 to 8% of the total value of your asset base should be directed towards maintenance. And we have seen increasingly that municipalities are unable to do that as a result of other spending pressures and the fact that they are under collecting. So it's the constellation of all of these factors that have led to what you and I refer to as load reduction. So this intervention is meant to address the entire value chain of electricity supply, including the downstream, or if you like, the last mile connection to your households to ensure that the infrastructure is in place.
So where's the money gonna come from for this rollout and this project then over the next 18 months or so? If municipalities can't afford that 5 to 8% because of, as you said, spending pressures in other areas, they don't have their own municipal planning, the proliferation of informal settlements, as you've made note, which increases illegal connections, that puts a strain on your budgeting and your finances, which means that as Eskom, as the ministry, you then have to find budgeting elsewhere, which ultimately means consumers then need to pay a little bit more. Is that going to be the case? Where's the money coming from?
Oh, it's an excellent question, Aravile. Perhaps in answering that question, I must answer the question, what is the cost of not doing this intervention? The cost is the following, just to share with you and the viewers the numbers. As I speak to you now, municipalities are owed collectively about 400 billion rands by their customers. And in return, those municipalities owe Eskom over 100 billion rands, just above 101 billion rands. And we know the trend line is such that the debt is increasing by an average of 2 billion rands per month. So if we're to do nothing in the next 24 months and we maintain that trend line, Eskom will be owed an additional 48 billion rands. And then the amount of money owed to municipalities will balloon over close to half a trillion rands. So what we have set out to do is that we have, as a department, an allocation of about 4 billion rands per annum for what we call universal access. We'll slice part of that to support this rollout. But Eskom ordinarily in its budget already has an allocation. So what we are doing is to increase that allocation so that we are able to procure those 1.69 meters because it's 1.69 customers And of course, you'll need more money to also do the transformers. So we're going to ensure that there's a reprioritization on our part and the part of Eskom.
Yeah.
And then for municipalities, we'll support them. But what we're going to do, what is important about this project is that once we roll out smart meters, we are able to ensure one completeness of billing. So essentially by that, I mean everyone that consume electricity is going to be on that prepaid meter platform. And secondly, it's going to allow us to collect before anyone can consume because those are prepaid. And thirdly, it's going to allow us to do what we call credit control. So if Aravile or Ramokgopa is in a position to pay but chooses not to pay, of course, you will not be able to use electricity because it's a prepaid system.
Yeah.
And then the fourth area is that it's smart insights that now the biggest criticism, Aravile, is that if we are neighbors and then we share the same transformer that gives us electricity, you are a diligent payer, I'm not a diligent payer, I also have exceeding my own consumption, I'm putting a strain on the transformer, all of us are subjected to load reduction because we switch off the transformer.
Yes.
So even Aravile, who is a diligent payer, who doesn't have backyard dwellers who are consuming illegally, is collateral damage. But with the smart meter platform, it allows us to isolate Ramokgopa who's not paying and Aravile to continue to get the electricity because now we're not switching off the transformer. The smart meter allows us to go direct to the customer. And the last benefit is that there are those that are indigent that cannot afford to pay. There's about 2.1 million of Eskom's customers who qualify for indigent.
Yeah.
That money gets to be given to municipalities, but only 483,000 of those get that benefit because municipalities redirect that money to other spending pressures.
Yeah.
So with the smart meters, we're able to front load you beginning of the month. We don't have to give the money to the municipality. It goes direct to your meter.
So Minister, allow me to go back to my question then. Of the 4 billion per annum that you said you're going to take a slice of, I'm assuming here maybe if it's half for next year, the 4 billion for this year, of the 6 billion, if that's a correct figure, how much then of that are you taking as a slice to install, these smart meters and to ensure that the communication is made forward to all those communities that are going to be in need of it?
Okay, well, the first one is just to give you comfort and the viewers that we'll have enough budget to do that. So between ourselves and Eskom, the reprioritization, so we'll work out to finalize what those numbers are. As I speak to you now, Eskom has on hand 600,000 of those smart meters. So we'll go out to the next round of public and transparent competitive bidding for the market to respond to the call for the supply of smart meters.
Yeah.
They must meet our specification, they must be competitively priced, and then we'll be able to ramp up that supply side. So the biggest challenge really is not on the availability of budget, it's on how we are going to engage with communities for us to have safe passage to be all able to roll out these smart meters. Like I said, we have no choice. If we are not to do this, you and I we're going to have a different conversation in the next 12 months.
Sure.
I'll be saying to you that Eskom now is owed 130 billion. Municipalities are owed close to 500 billion, and therefore we can't sustain electricity production in the country.
Minister, so 600,000 units of these smart meters currently in Eskom's possession is what you've just said. How many in total are you expecting to put across the country? Is that expected to go into the tens of millions?
No, so the total customer base that is affected by load reduction is 1.69 million. So if you like 1.7 million, that's only on the Eskom side. I do expect that when we do a reconciliation with municipalities, because some municipalities don't have a sense of the number of customers that are affected by load reduction. So once we get that reconciliation, I think that number might likely double. So we'll get close to about 3.5 million of these customers. So that's a customer base that needs to be serviced. But we are ready to start now. So as we do those reconciliation, we have 600,000 of these meters on hand. So we must start the rollout. As we do that reconciliation, we'll get to that final figure. And then our biggest problem will not be on the funding and financing of this. It will be on just summoning the right capacity for us to roll out, but from a personnel point of view. But we are confident about that. But we anticipate that the biggest challenge, you are going to enter into areas where there's huge resistance. Remember, is that there are people who are profiting from illegal connection. So there are people who serve as a mini Eskom, mini municipalities in these settlements, and they're the ones who will agitate communities because essentially we are denying them that ill.
So let me ask about expensive when it comes to the pricing. I was speaking to Dan Marakane, the CEO of Eskom, not so long ago, at least a week or two ago, and he was talking about we're hoping to only have single-digit increases. But one might say that at this stage, we won't even be able to have or afford those single-digit increases. But if you are able to complete this within 18 months, does that secure the line with regards to infrastructure development on your side, meaning that pricing remains as stable as possible?
Oh, once more, excellent question, Ara. I did make the point that the electricity tariffs are becoming unsustainable. It's an untenable situation we're experiencing. Just to give you the viewers a sense, since 2007 to 2024, electricity prices have increased by a whopping 937%, compared to inflation that over the same period that has increased by 155%. It's eroding the disposable income of households, disproportionately affecting poor households, but everyone, the middle class, even the affluent, are finding it very difficult. It's making our businesses uncompetitive. I've made a commitment before, I repeated it yesterday. We're working on a new tariff structure to ensure that we provide significant relief to communities and also to industry. And we know that there's existing technologies that we can use that are far much cheaper than, if you like, the traditional technologies of generating electricity. In fact, we'll be in Musina unveiling the first phase of these technologies that we are doing ourselves at a large scale. So it's not like a novel technology, but we are doing it at large scale, where we're connecting municipalities using solar and battery storage. And we know we can cap the cost of electricity. I'm sure the next time after we launch, I can come back to you and tell you how much that electricity is. I can tell you it's substantially less than what you are paying. It could be about a half, even a third of what you are paying now.
But Minister, just very, very quickly, will the end of load reduction help in reducing pricing?
No. There's no relationship. What we are resolving is to guarantee the supply. And then the issue of pricing is a different conversation. And that's why I have decoupled them. And I said I'll advise the country on the measures we are taking. But that's a valid point. It's unaffordable.